You're listening to the Bored to Death Bingecast, talking TV shows and movies in easily digestible chunks. Hello again, ladies and gentlemen, and other assorted gender assignations. Welcome back to the Bored to Death Bingecast. I am Jay, being joined by
Sam,
Z,
and
Rude.
And we have just returned from the movies.
Is this a hero cast or what?
This is just an ordinary binge cast.
Wouldn't this be horror cast? Because it's a movie, it considers...
And there were heads being eaten.
There were heads eaten.
There was a lot of body horror.
And it falls
there was a lot of body horror
it
going on.
It falls in line a lot with the other horror movies that have been coming out, being PG-13.
Yeah.
You know, those are not horror movies. Those are jokes.
I tend to agree with Rode on this.
How do you name Venom? There will be Carnage, and there was no Carnage.
Well, there was
Carnage was there.
There was
but
the Carnage, the character,
Carnage.
but there was no Carnage, the
It's like there
event.
might be
I mean,
some off-screen eating.
When I read Maximum Carnage, there was death everywhere.
Yeah.
Not an ounce of blood.
So, but yes, we didn't quite. I didn't quite get a chance to say it, but in case you haven't figured out, we have just returned from the movie theater where we went and saw Venom. Let There Be Carnage.
Yes.
Because Venom is one of Zeke's all-time favorite comic book characters.
Oh yeah,
I think it is his alpha.
Yeah,
No, it's not.
Zeke basically, the second this movie was announced, he was like, I am going to go see this.
with or without you guys.
Yeah, basically.
We are seeing this movie.
Pretty much.
We.
He was using the royal we, the plural we. And so, from this point forward, spoiler warning. If you do not want to be spoiled, you should probably just not listen to this edition of the Bingecast until go see it first. We'll go ahead and give you a few seconds just to make up your mind.
There's enough time.
Time is over.
That is enough time. Now it is time to discuss. We really enjoyed it, I think.
I think it started off a little too slow.
Yeah.
When I go into a Venom movie, I want the start of the movie. You know how a lot of the superhero movies, they give you a little bit of action to start you off.
Yeah, the prologue always gives you a little bit of... gives you that hook to keep you in.
They start off with Cletus's origin. Not even Carnage, but Cletus's origin.
But you gotta remember, it's still Sony.
Technically,
all of
story.
Sony's films, their Marvel films, start slow. I have yet to see one where it started fast.
Iron Man.
That's not Sony.
Oh, so the Sony ones, yes. Okay,
Yes,
that's fair.
the
That's fair.
Spider-Man.
Well, that's because it's too many, and they do this a lot with some. It's not the too many cooks thing. It's more that they all have to tell the origin story stuff.
Yeah,
Sony
has to really ram the origin down your throat, even though the origin has been done.
Yeah,
every goddamn film.
I have a friend at work who hates the fact that they have to keep redoing the origin story all the freaking time.
How many times have we seen Batman's origin story?
That's one of the ones that he's always complained about. And when I pointed out that like in Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice, they reduced his origin story to like 2 minutes at the beginning of the movie.
They did do it anyway. Still,
and he said that was 2 minutes too long.
I agree.
Now, the thing about it is, and we'll get back on point. I want to see what they do with the Robert Pattinson Batman because this is supposed to be
Robert
year
Pattinson
2.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to that, too.
Is this when he's going to still be using a gun?
Yes, technically. He does not stop using... Technically, Batman never stopped using a gun until year 3, 4, and this is just before he ends up having Robin.
Well, now we're going off base.
Yes. Back to Venom.
Back to...
Venom will eat Batman.
I would like to eat Bruce Wayne. But
you know why? He has rich taste.
Wow. I want to say, there's the door.
That's some rich
I'm aware where it's at.
Get out of the binge bunker. But as was stated, the movie sort of opened telling a bit of the origin story for Cletus Kasady and for Frances Barrison, a.k.a. Shriek.
You know the worst part about it? I didn't realize that she was the chick from Pirates of the Caribbean until we got home.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's right. That was Tomadia.
I knew it.
Tiadama.
Well,
it was
what I was just telling Zeke before, literally the character for Francis was based on her.
Huh.
So I thought it was a nice nod that they actually have the actor that they based the character on in the film playing the character. It fit perfectly.
But yeah, the movie opens with the two of them at some hellish reform school / prison for unwanted children. The two of them are in adjacent cells because they don't have proper bedrooms; they're cells. Yeah. And he makes a little cloth ring for her, passes it through a pipe that connects the two rooms, and
shoddy water system.
Yep.
No, it did a pretty good job, tracking.
Then again, it's just a shoddy water system, but it's the plumbing for a reform school for unwanted children. They're not exactly going to give them the best.
I don't even think they're giving them water if you can pass it through there.
That's true, but it's hey,
here's a pipe to keep you guys connected.
Here, use this pipe for.
But she gets this ring from him literally just before they arrive to drag her off to put her in some special asylum because she's a mutant and has powers. And then we see, while she's in the transport, there's this guard there, a guy named Mulligan, and she basically asks him any last words before she unleashes her banshee scream in the back of this van, blows out one of his eardrums, and as the thing flips over, he manages to shoot her in the eye, non-lethally, but still takes out an eye.
The non-lethal eye shot.
Well,
one thing that really bothers me about that, she knew she was being taken.
It scars her face, but I guess the eye is semi-usable.
Here's the thing: I would have accepted a gunshot to the eye not being lethal if it was at a long distance. It was point blank.
Maybe it grazed the front of her face because she did turn to the side, so it might have just clipped the front of the eye.
Yeah,
eye is still there, though.
All it really did was just leave that scar
and gave her a blue eye. Oh, she must have other abilities other than screaming. Also, if she said she's in the cell knowing she's getting taken to a place that they handle people like her, why was she unmuzzled?
Well,
we're just going to put you in with just one literal security guard that just started his first day, practically.
Yep.
And then give you all the ability to just scream in his face.
Was that catchphrase of yours there, Jay?
Don't think about it too hard.
Oh, no, the other one for Titans. Oh, it's going to be fine.
Oh, I'm sure that's fine. Yeah.
Yes.
Let's just put her... She's fine. She won't try to escape or anything.
Yes. Oh, yes.
So... That part bothered me. There's a bunch of parts about this movie that bothered the shit out of me. I don't want to get too far ahead.
Yeah. We'll let you cover them as we get to it.
You'll rip into them as you get
and then we skip forward to the present day. Cletus Kasady has become a serial killer and is now locked up in prison. And he periodically talks to Eddie Brock, who is a journalist, because he decides he likes Eddie and wants him to tell his story. And the authorities basically keep letting Eddie talk to Cletus because they hope that he'll be able to get information out of Cletus to tell them where the bodies are and stuff like that. Because there's apparently tons of bodies that they never found.
Of course, FBI.
Yeah.
That's great work there, guys.
Well, and after the initial meeting we see in this movie, as they're leaving, Venom happens to notice the inside of Cletus's cell, not the cage that they had him in for the interview, but the actual cell where he stays, where he's been, carving artwork and stuff into the walls.
He's a fantastic artist.
He's a very good artist because that's what you get when you have time.
Yeah.
Don't put time on your hand, you're gonna become an artist.
You become a very
well. You'll get better at whatever you decide to put your mind to. But yes, and it's not until they get back to Eddie's apartment that Venom basically reveals he's got a photographic memory and he can perfectly recreate the art as well.
That was pretty funny to watch.
Yeah, as he pulls out a big sheaf of paper and then just rapidly with two-fisting Sharpies manages to perfectly recreate the artwork.
I like that one. That was pretty funny.
And he finally makes Eddie realize this one particular piece of art that he had drawn is of a particular beach in California, which Eddie then leads the authorities to. They happen to find dozens of bodies.
Another thing, how did he come up with the location? Like the perfect picture, and Venom knew what that location was?
Because apparently he does a lot of research on beaches.
Well, yes, yeah, that's.
He does love his beaches.
Venom does like beaches. This is
Venom's
a bit of a running
beaches.
gag, and this is a bit of a brick joke in the movie, that Venom is getting frustrated because he wants to eat brains, but Eddie has established rules. You can't just go around eating people, and so he gets the particular chemical that he needs from chocolate and from chickens.
Or chicken brains.
Chicken brains.
Even though
which is
very
very... What?
But he does not like eating chickens. And he has two very special chickens.
Yeah, there are two chickens in Eddie's apartment that Venom refuses to eat because they are
lovers. Star-crossed.
Sonny and Cher. is what Venom has nicknamed these two.
Well, with that was after he got the money from showing the FBI where the bodies were.
True.
But anyway, but as part of this whole, it's like he wants to be free to go do things. Like, I want to feel the wind in my hair and the sand between my toes.
But you have no hair.
Yeah. But the problem is when Eddie reveals this information to like the authorities, he doesn't reveal it to Detective Mulligan, because Mulligan survived his encounter with Shriek in the prologue.
We don't find that out till a lot later.
Well, no, we know it's him right from the scene in the scene at the prison. Because Eddie greets him by name, Detective Mulligan.
But unless you're just paying attention to his badge, they made it the big reveal later on.
No, they pointed out the guy's name in the truck at the very beginning. It said like R. Mulligan.
Yeah, what I mean is,
unless you read the label, you won't know who that guy was.
And later on, they made it seem like you were supposed to only know who it was later when they're on the phone with him going, yeah, I killed her. And then shows the badge, PTSD, I have a hearing aid.
I noticed that, that scene at the beginning because they focused on his nameplate before Shriek asked him any last words. And then later at the prison, Eddie greets him by name, Detective Mulligan, or whatever.
Much foreshadowing.
I mean, I picked up on it right away. I appreciate not everybody has the same attention to detail that I do.
Yeah, but those can't read name tag labels as fast as you can. So God,
I'm gonna let that pass.
I was too busy worried that she doesn't have a fucking muzzle.
Skilled. We can't help it.
Small details. Don't look at the plot hole in this guy.
Yeah, read his name badge. Don't realize that she doesn't have a muzzle on. Let her just
You're not supposed to pay attention to that.
Yeah.
And point blank like that in both ears, not just one.
Yeah, I agree. But then again, it was sort of implied that her powers were getting better, were getting stronger. They maybe weren't as strong as they were by the present day, when she's capable of like blowing out the eardrums of two pilots in a helicopter with like the noise canceling like headphone things that they wear. And
no, she just downed the copter.
He's finding the plot holes. Don't look at them.
There are plenty of plot holes. We'll get to them. But like Sam pointed out, the fact that they are transporting a dangerous mutant.
She's not dangerous. She's
who they knew had sonic powers.
Nope.
The transporting her unmuzzled. Come on.
Nope, they didn't know that.
Tranking her. At least trank her. She didn't even have like handcuffs on.
There's no way they knew she was going to come out of nowhere and attack them.
Exactly.
Oh, we're going to take you to a special place just for your kind.
Ravencroft.
Maybe
Is it a resort? Yes.
It's Disney World. They're going to Disney World.
Oh, we're going to be part of the MCU?
I would like to go to Disney World.
I would like to eat that Mickey Mouse.
But anyway, Venom is sort of chafing under the restrictions. He wants to eat brains. He wants freedom. And Cletus Kasady is still trying to leverage things. He gets pissed off when Eddie, as he sees it, betrays his trust and reveals his secrets. Didn't tell the whole story, as he explains later. And when but
which didn't make sense.
Yeah,
he never really told him jack shit anyway. Just put this haiku I have as a front
and
page.
I will tell you everything you want to know. And then it's just sort of like, you don't need to tell us everything you know. I sort of figured out the stuff that I wanted to know because I have this symbiote living in me.
He was mad that he didn't come back to visit him.
Yeah, that's probably it.
Don't get me started on that freaking...
What, symbiote?
No,
I didn't pronounce it the way that you really hate.
No, this is the ending that... No. I'll wait till we're done. Don't get me started. Bear's been poked, but I'm holding it back.
And Eddie then gets a call from Anne, his girlfriend from the first movie.
His ex.
Yes.
Venom was out on the prowl for someone because
that's
he
right.
took over.
Yeah, Venom. No, I think it was after they had gone to the chicken factory.
Yeah, they're going to the chicken factory
because they went to the chicken
That's right.
because they went to the chicken factory because when they went to Mrs. Chen's bodega or whatever.
No, he went for the chickens after he told him not to eat the guy.
That's right. Well, but regardless,
timeline stories are confusing.
Yeah, it's Venom goes out because he wants to. He's a predator. I must hunt, and he accosts this mugger. We see this mugger attempting to purse snatch from this big sassy black lady, essentially, who's holding her own.
No, she made him. She knocked him down,
and then Venom jumps down and is getting ready to eat the guy.
And scared the shit out of her.
And, Eddie manages to talk him down. And then as they go to for Plan B, which is chickens, then Anne gives Eddie a call. And she's like, I have some important news. Can we talk? And the next day he goes to meet her at this bar, fancy.
Venom was talking him up too, saying, she sounds like she's hurt.
That is the sound of a woman who's had her heart broken.
God damn it, Venom. I love you so much.
And because Venom is shipping Eddie and Anne very, very strong.
Well, because when he attached to Eddie in the first movie...
He picked up on the affection that he has for her. And then, of course...
it's a symbiotic relationship.
Yep. And then Venom also ride-shared with her briefly in the first movie.
Yep.
But... when he meets with her, it's awkward sort of moment, and then in the midst of it, she reveals the ring on her finger.
I hate her line too.
Oh my god, that line is bullshit.
I'm like, so this is the point where friends are supposed to not lie and not make the other one feel like a piece of shit. It's like, maybe you shouldn't just come out with it and just put your hand on the table showing the big rock on your finger.
Instead of letting things be awkward and making him think that he had a chance. Yeah.
And at the restaurant, the kind of restaurant they were at, this is a kind of a coffee shop kind of talk. Where it's like, we haven't been equal with each other.
This sort of thing, that is the sort of conversation you have at a Starbucks, not at an upscale restaurant.
Yeah.
Essentially breaking his heart, again,
and Venom is pissed about the whole thing. But,
I wonder if it's what My Hero ship people like.
What do you mean?
When they're like, this is going to happen. Like, hey, that's not canon anymore? We can't make that ship can't work anymore? Fuck this bird to the ground!
I mean, you see that in pretty much any fandom, not just My Hero.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, don't get me started on the Ruby fandom. The Ruby fandom...
If they've shared any screen time together, ship them.
Yeah,
ship
basically.
Him, ship her, ship them.
And if the ship gets sunk by the creators, burn it all to the ground.
Fire can cure everything. Just keep that in mind.
Including the fan base, right?
He actually got it right. Fire kills everything.
Fire fixes everything, I think.
It's a cure.
No, I like kill.
Yeah. Well, that's also true.
The cure.
Fire is a cure.
Eddie tried to practically kill himself. One, he's driving in the rain.
On a motorcycle.
Has his visor up. So he's barely able to see.
Yeah.
And I couldn't kill myself even if I tried. Isn't that right? As it goes into
oncoming traffic, and sure enough, Venom takes over and wheels them out of the line of fire. And
it came to a real nice stop in the rain.
Yeah, and then Venom sort of apologized.
Emotional damage.
And the next morning, they're making waffles.
Well, no, not so much so much as that Venom is. Eddie is just there, pouring himself some orange juice, and meanwhile Venom is just sort of using his little tentacles
to slapping shit around.
Hey, Chef Venom is very good.
Yeah.
I just love how he just threw the tomato when he said tomato. He's like,
tomato.
That was a hearty reference.
But
that started up the... This was funny. This was really early to have the third act breakup. This was like 30 minutes in, and we're at the third act breakup where they're fighting each other.
And then...
oh, wait, they weren't fighting yet.
Yeah, the fight happened after the prison, the second prison.
Because that's
visit.
when he got the letter or the postcard.
He got a postcard from Cletus, basically inviting him to his execution, and so Eddie goes back to San Quentin.
Venom's best judgment, saying, "I don't think we should go. This is a bad idea."
He goes anyway.
Yep.
For one last statement.
Yep. And he's warned as he's taken on to death row. It's just like, keep your distance. Do not make contact with the prisoner.
Don't touch the condemned.
Don't touch the condemned. And
that's a great way to put it.
Mm-hmm. And Cletus, he starts hammering on some emotional buttons, because he was comparing himself to Eddie.
How public was that knowledge that he knew it and he's been incarcerated for so long? I mean, I understand knowing his fall from the TV series or whatever show he had.
Because he was
his father, about his mother dying because of him in labor. Like, you're revealing stuff to the audience. The audience doesn't know.
I took that to be that it may have come out in previous interviews that he had with Cletus.
Well, I'm under the impression
trying to empathize somewhat with Cletus.
I'm under the impression that Cletus literally just followed Eddie's life.
That's possible, but
but even though, not all that would be public knowledge.
But here's the thing: Cletus's history is public knowledge because he killed his family and all that. That's why I think Eddie probably in one of their first interviews, to try to empathize somewhat with Cletus's whole backstory,
that's the problem.
Revealed his own to try to get.
They
Cletus
made the
to
mistake
open up.
that we're having to fill in those pieces. That
I agree.
Gap, when
I
it's
agree.
The whole thing of show don't tell, and that is literally the worst way to tell it is by just straight up telling him.
Yeah, I'm not defending the fact that they didn't put this stuff in there. I'm just trying to come up with an explanation.
I'm looking for a circus cut, please.
Yes,
because this movie was not even 2 hours, an hour and a half, 90 minutes.
Yeah.
90 minutes.
So there's got to be a lot left on the cutting room floor.
Andy Serkis, come on.
Didn't it feel really disconnected in some parts where it just feels like
somewhat
just as soon as this wrapped up, we're straight into the next thing, straight into the next thing, straight into the next thing.
It's not like Disney doesn't have enough money to throw at Sony and be like, here, let Andy Serkis release the director's cut. It really
felt like a Sony movie was being played around with. And also, it felt like the first one in just enough, because they both felt like they could have and should have been made in the 90s, with how the comedy is played, how it was kind of slappy.
And the fact that the main character is a 90s anti-hero.
I've been saying this for a while. Venom, There Be Carnage is going to be Pirates 2.
Yep, and we're probably going to get a Venom 3 at some point.
We
know we're going to get a Venom 3.
You know why I say this, because if you watch Pirates 2...
Because it's only half a movie?
Yeah.
But the way they ended that was literally half a movie. The movie just got started and it's over.
I mean, Pirates 1, you had...
This one actually had a wrap-up, at least.
This one ended the story. It didn't just cliffhanger like Matrix 2 or Pirates 2.
Oh, I hated that in theaters. I saw Pirates 2 in theaters, and I just shook my head at the end. That's all I could do was just shake my damn head. And then the beginning of 3 made no sense, because I thought it was just going to pick up immediately. And I'm like, where was it? China?
Shanghai, yeah.
We're in freaking China now. I'm like, the fuck just happened?
How did you get from the Caribbean, which is in the Atlantic, on the Atlantic side, all the way around to
China?
You would have had to go around Cape Horn, or
we're rolling way off.
Yeah, we're going off base.
At this point, once he brings up the past with Eddie, Venom gets offended.
Yep.
And starts taking matters into his
I
own
have
hand.
an idea on that though. I don't think he told him. Because think about it, Eddie was a star.
Mm-hmm.
What do stars have lack of?
But
privacy.
Their mouth.
But he wasn't a star. He was just a reporter.
But he had his own, his own television
and
show.
People are going, oh my God, it's Eddie Brock. We know who Eddie Brock is. Therefore, people want to have the interest. Just like when you see an actor.
But do you see Cletus having too much access to the World Wide Web there?
Possibly. I mean, there's been.
He's when he's killed as many people as he had that whole cell block to himself.
And here's the thing: when you're in prison, you have no rights. They can take away any of those privileges.
And with how violent he is, that's why he had a cage stay 2 feet away from him. This is his leisure time. We're not putting him out in the yard.
Well, in the second visit, he was literally on death row.
Yeah.
It wasn't, but the first time he was like in maximum security kind of thing. And even then, that wasn't really a proper.
First time was at the end of Venom 1. That was their first interaction.
And then here we're seeing it after multiple visits. He started doing.
You have any other thoughts about that, Zeke?
No. I mean, I still stick with that because, I mean, how long was he a star? How long was Cletus in that
10 years.
That specific cell? I mean, they might have let him free a little bit.
Yeah, they may have had him in Gen Pop for a little bit.
Popped him on one murder, but then when they started coming out with several murders and how violent he could be in the prison.
Yeah, it's just
he wasn't even wearing orange. Was he wearing orange?
No.
He was still wearing a prison uniform.
Yeah.
But it wasn't
when they were tearing through later on, everyone had orange.
Yeah, but the second time he had been on death row and they put him in the white outfit instead.
Yeah, when you get the white outfit, that means your time is over.
Well, he was literally on death row. Literally the execution chamber was at the end of the hall.
Right.
And he was eating his last meal.
Let me make sure you know, you're going here at the end of the week.
Mm-hmm. But like Sam was saying, Cletus starts hammering on these emotional buttons that pisses off Venom, who takes matters into his own tendrils.
Which got him too close to the cage.
Well, the problem with that, though, he's always too close to the cage.
He was a bit too close, but he got...
And then he yanked himself closer, and to the point where Eddie grabbed onto the bars. And then once, and then Cletus managed to... When Eddie wound Venom in, Cletus lunged forward and
I think he was biting him as in response to being manhandled.
That's how I read that too. But then
you know what else happened that they never showed? I know it's a little nitpicky. He put up his little voice recorder there.
That's what I'm talking about.
And they ushered him out after he got bit. One of which he never once had a bite mark on his hand. Never once had it bandaged at all.
No healing factor with that. Venom can heal physical wounds like that. We saw him earlier when
but there would at least be teeth marks because he drew blood.
No, because no one had his leg healed instantly faster than Venom 1.
No, I'm talking about there was blood on his lip. That's how he got Carnage.
Yeah, but he got the blood, but the bite mark would disappear because of how fast he healed.
That's what I was trying to get to as well. But so he bit hard enough that he drew blood, and then the guard pulls Eddie away and starts ushering him out, and
he left his recorder.
Yeah, but Cletus,
I'm guessing they handed it to him later off screen.
Yeah, probably.
We're just gonna have to go with one of those off screen moments.
But Cletus is just sort of like, I've tasted a lot of blood, and that wasn't it.
That's not blood.
That's not blood.
You got dirty secrets. You got secrets, mister.
And then he wipes the blood off of his lip, and he looks at it on his finger, and it starts
it starts moving, and he's still just like, you know what, yum yum.
Yep. Welcome, Eddie. Yeah, Zeke has pulled up Venom.
I'm glad they got rid of this awful wig.
Yeah, the wig.
Oh god, that wig is.
I was wondering if
he got a haircut between movies.
Yeah.
I was wondering if they put him in orange before then, or was he always in white? But it looks like he's always been in white.
So this is maximum security at this point still.
Yeah, it looks like it's more or less the same as in the second one. Although here he's in he's in restraints.
I'm not. Yeah, he actually has.
I guess he had been well behaved enough that they let him out of.
Oh no,
restraints.
because he was eating his last meal.
No, I'm saying in the first visit in this in the movie we saw
or
today.
Or they've forgotten bad continuity.
Yeah. But regardless...
different directors.
Yeah, because the first director he was doing... Oh, crap, what the hell was it? It was a sequel to a movie he was working on.
Anyway.
I'm glad that one thing I worry about is no longer a thing to worry about, though.
Which is?
This is that guy's first time directing. I mean, he's
Andy
great.
Serkis?
Yeah. He's a great... He's at least the first time I've seen him do anything...
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Andy Serkis...
This is debut directorial role.
Well, is it?
Tom Hardy actually helped write this one, too.
He knows special effects and how to...
And mocap.
He is mocap.
Yes.
He is mocap.
And that's what worried me. I mean,
and he knows how to get actors to actually work with mocap so that it's believable. Because, again, everyone in here,
he did the Mowgli movie.
Everyone in here, their reactions towards, again, Carnage and Venom is pure believable. It was you couldn't tell that they were not speaking to Venom, even though he's good. He's good at being able to get the actors to react to stuff that is going to be CG'd in later. Right, and that is a skill that you got to earn.
Yeah, but
after Cletus eats the
blood, Eddie goes back to his apartment. He and Venom basically have it out.
That's the third act breakup.
Yeah, they get into it, and they Venom is basically throwing him around the apartment, starts chucking stuff out the window, and
yes, I will throw your TV out the window. Oh, I have your chicken.
I have the chicken.
It's like how he goes, throw.
Yeah, and then he throws it out anyway.
So you wouldn't.
And that's because he knows that Eddie is not the kind of person that's going to kill something.
Well, he's in his head at the moment.
Literally,
he knows what he is going to do. He doesn't have to wonder.
Yeah, and so then finally, Eddie and Venom have their breakup. Venom literally goes, pulls himself out of Eddie, goes out the window, attaches himself to a random homeless guy that had been walking past.
Oh, I think that's funny. The homeless guy is saying he's going to call the cops from the noise inside.
Yeah.
It's it's in reverse of someone complaining about a homeless person making noise outside their place.
Yeah.
It's a weird little twist.
And Eddie just sort of it has that moment of peace, just sort of like, I'm free, I don't have to worry about him anymore. And then he hears the smashing sounds outside, and he's like, oh no. And he looks out, and sure enough, Venom is smashing his Ducati, his fancy motorcycle. And then Venom detaches from the homeless guy, attaches himself to a random woman riding past on a bicycle, and
which is Cat's favorite part of the movie.
Yeah, because as they're riding off, Venom.
You call that why? Because she's freaking out because she barely keep balance.
And Venom sticks a tendril out and forms a hand giving a middle finger to Eddie. And then Venom goes off and goes to a rave.
Now I'm trying to figure out what the party was about. Was that
there was some sort of
Day of the Dead? Was that Halloween? Was it just California being California?
I think it was it's San Francisco being San Francisco. There were some
banners
I saw on light poles and stuff earlier in the movie, advertising it.
The rapper that was there, or rapper, I guess.
Or whatever. But so Venom goes to a rave, which is probably one of the funniest parts of the movie. Just seeing Venom, in full Venom mode, all hulked out and just walking around, and people are just like, "Dude, that's a cool costume.
I made it myself.
Is that Japanese? I made it myself." He's stopping for selfies and shit.
The original director, Ruben Fletcher, left Venom because he had to go. He was conflict between Zombieland 2.
There you go.
We do have to kind of forget that this movie's pushed back because of COVID.
Yeah,
a lot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like a lot of movies.
Yeah, Zombieland 2. Wait, didn't they come out like last year?
Like 2 years ago.
How's that conflict of
2019?
Yeah, but 2020 lasted 5 years.
It feels like.
Yeah, pretty much.
And Eddie is, then we have the attempted execution of Cletus Kasady, and when they're injecting him with the lethal injection, that's when Carnage wakes up, and he goes on a rampage in the prison, and finally just dragging the warden and chasing and dragging the warden around.
I was being a Carnage fan was very disappointed with how they did Carnage.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he looks great. He's just a tornado of tendrils. I'm going to make all these huge spiky looking things. And then I'm going to stab that table. I'm going to grab these bars. I'm going to slap around the guards. And I'm going to kill that guy with my tongue. He has scythes all the friggin' time.
Again,
javelins, daggers, anything sharp.
Release the circus cut.
Release an R cut.
Yes.
Sony stopped being, we gotta play nice for... They already agreed that they're gonna make Deadpool 3 R. It's... okay.
Yes. And
I would have loved this.
When you say there will be carnage, he's swinging around, and I'm just gonna let these cops shoot each other. I mean, that was cool and all, but... Then you just stab that one, stab these ones, slap them together, slap them to the walls, and then just start. I like that they let him crawl at least once in the frickin' prison across the cages and shit.
Oh yeah,
down.
Yeah. I just remember watching all that, and I'm like, I think I played this level in Carrion.
And he just spun around, did he have enough speed to make a literal tornado?
Apparently so.
And grabs the warden and just eats. He's like, any last words? It eats his head. Okay. Cool.
And then he just sort of moseys on out of San Quentin.
A lot of when the cop came to the prison and saw all the headless bodies, there wasn't a drop of blood that came out of them.
No.
I mean, could they not get away with just doing an impaling where it seems like he's pulling the blood out of them while he's eating them, or... And there's just another aspect of things that I did have some problems with, is that Mulligan didn't know that Shriek was still alive. I'm just like, that seems like the sort of thing that he... He went to the hospital, he probably thought he killed her with the gunshot. So, if she's going to a secret facility that's underground of a mental ward, he's not going to be the need to know, since he was originally a guard.
I would be of the opinion that the guy that got actually physically, attacked by the prisoner,
they probably told him she was dead.
I still just find it very difficult to believe he got...
The difficult thing I have is what came up next.
Ravenwood is supposed to be a...
Ravencroft, yeah.
Ravencroft. It's supposed to be a secret location for special villains. Special case villains.
Yeah, but...
So, if you go to Ravenclaw, you're not supposed to be known. And they try to erase anything.
Who was the guy in the basement?
There's a couple of other people who have been there.
The other guy in the cell? I have no idea.
They mentioned his name.
Yeah, the doctor mentioned his name.
Rhodes reacted.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember his name.
Sebastian?
He is... Sebastian.
I think that's
Sebastian is... Wait a second. Fuck. He also ends up becoming a symbiote. Who was it?
Anyway, we can come back to that later.
I'll have to hunt that one down, but
we can come back to that one later. But so yeah, then it's with the breakout. Mulligan comes by Eddie's apartment and is just accusing him of withholding information.
Well, first to make sure he's alive.
Yeah, first to make sure he's alive, and then trying to get is accusing him of withholding information about Cletus Kasady because it's like Kasady wouldn't talk to anybody but you, and they're still sort of looking at him askance for the whole Life Foundation thing from the first movie, because the whole Life Foundation thing sort of literally blew up, and he was the only one to walk out of there.
Yeah, I still want to know how to kind of cover up all the dead bodies. Yeah, in the tower.
Well, I also like that they're like, whoa, well, everyone's just saying something about a monster. Hundreds of prisoners.
Yeah, that's the other thing. Carnage didn't exactly leave the doors locked behind him when he walked out, and he set a whole bunch of convicts free.
Which is kind of surprising. I guess it's because Carnage had no beef with them. That the way I think Carnage would be is like, everyone's cheering for me. Yeah, that's cool. Pulls out bladed fingers and just goes to town.
Well,
because he would want to power himself.
In actual Maximum Carnage, he did free tons of prisoners. He wanted chaos running through the streets.
He wanted maximum carnage.
Yeah. How do you get chaos? Release every bad guy to do whatever they want to do.
Release the hounds!
The police were overwhelmed. The heroes were overwhelmed. Of course, we only have technically one hero at this point.
In this universe, yes, one anti-hero. But
one is all we need.
Yeah. And yeah, then it's like Eddie starts doing actual investigative journalism stuff.
Oh,
and
my favorite
goes
part. One of my favorite parts.
Which, go ahead.
What are you doing? Your job.
Yeah.
Which is true.
But so
what
Eddie...
What would Venom do? He was, what was it? What did he say? Something, ears face off!
Yeah. Because he's had Venom in his head for a while at that point. He knows what Venom would do. But he then goes to the reform school to try to find some information. He finds the heart carved on the tree outside. CK loves FB. He calls up Mulligan to warn him. It's like, I think he's after whoever this FB is. And Mulligan's like, that would be Frances Barrison, his girlfriend. But she's dead. I shot her. Flashback, that's when they, make it clear who he was for those who weren't paying attention.
Then they cut to one of the weirdest parts. I guess it can be explained that they just pull up to a random gas station, kill the gas clerk, and says, "Do you have the internet?" And then just shoves all the tendrils inside the internet, and now inside
the dude's laptop.
So I'm going to bring up an argument that I had back in Venom 1 since they did this one. I love Venom 1 with passion. A few of my fellow colleagues love a movie. It was called, not The Gorge. It was a
Upgrade?
Movie. Upgrade, yes. Saying that Upgrade should have been Venom. Yeah, they took that literally. They gave Carnage the power to hijack the internet, apparently.
I guess it kind of makes sense because all of them are a hive mind. And if Venom has any kind of knowledge of the internet now, then Carnage has all the information he has.
But that's still just shoving his fingers into the USB port of a laptop.
He put it in every port there was. That thing was full. All holes were filled on that laptop.
All holes were definitely full.
Yeah. And then he's just
R.I.P. that hard drive.
He hacks Google and then hacks the police database, hacks behind level 10 security.
He hacks the hacks.
Yes.
Okay. He was on fire. And he was hacking better than the best in the world.
He was hacking better than Oracle.
God damn you, Oracle. I mean, Brother Eye.
Yes.
I mean, I understand that they're putting things in different places because I just found something out. Yes, Eddie Brock is in California instead of New York. Mm-hmm. Ravencroft is actually supposed to be in D.C.
Yeah.
So
he got all the way across country.
We're just saying that everything is all in California.
Everything's in California, yeah.
Nothing inside this movie exists outside of California. Let's just put it that way.
Right, because...
At the moment, it doesn't.
Because the Lethal Protector is California's greatest hope.
Mm. Well,
the funny thing, I started listening down book on tape.
But he finds where Francis Shriek is located, and that she's still alive. So then he goes to Ravencroft.
He makes a deal with Carnage. Carnage says, I need something from you. And he said, well, I need to do something first.
Yeah.
If you agree to do that, then we're all good.
And Carnage is like, we have a deal.
Which is not really Carnage's whole M.O. They are together throughout because they just emit chaos and carnage.
Mm-hmm.
Yes!
Cletus
They're on the same wavelength.
Carnage is the carnage that comes across afterwards.
Yeah, that's why I'm biting my tongue to the very end. There's some yeah.
So, but then Carnage breaks into Ravencroft, kills the psychiatrist,
kills
every guard, breaks her out of her cell, and then they hop in the 66 Corvette or whatever it was that Cletus had stolen.
Because
it was her dream car.
It's her dream car, and I love that they had that little nod in there because Magical Carnage.
That's Cletus's car.
You messed with her car, you were in trouble.
Well, and so
do you know there's another problem I had with this part?
What's that?
She had been in the ward, in the child's ward for who knows how long. They didn't.
Yes, you picked it up.
Not too much older than maybe 15, so maybe even longer.
They were not even that old.
So how would she have?
How would she know how to drive?
They were 10.
How would she know how to drive, let alone do an insane stunt like full-on reverse, e-brakes turn into a full-on go?
I have no idea because again, you picked up on the same thing
for the movie.
How do you know how to even drive?
See,
now they're gonna go like this through their hand and go.
I could see.
I'm gonna play because of movie.
Yeah.
So we're gonna go back to the original logic.
Here's my thing, and I'm wondering if it might be playing in. Now, Carnage actually knows how to do everything because he picked it up from being a part of
Venom.
But
he's not the one driving.
He passes it on. Anything Carnage knows, Cletus will know.
Right.
Now, it's not that Carnage is sharing it, but here, go ahead and get us out of here. I'm wondering, is that really when Shriek picks up her symbiote? Because her symbiote, you never actually see exactly when she gets it, but she actually has it.
Okay, well,
I don't know if she has it in this movie because the yellow one was in the first movie. They were at the Life Foundation.
Right, but you got to remember, almost all of the way they're doing this, all these symbiotes spawned from Venom.
Ah, so you think a piece of Carnage got
piece
to her?
Piece of Carnage is. I'm pretty much assured that if that's exactly what they did with well, I'm not going to spoil that.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure she has hers before anything else.
Anyway.
Yeah.
They get in that car chase, take out a
well,
bunch
it's not
of cops.
really a car chase because they're still in the grounds of Ravencroft. They're just going in a circle around the little thing in front of the asylum, and then Carnage goes crazy with stringing it up in like a web of symbiote tendrils, and he's just chucking.
One time he uses a scythe,
and he's chucking police cars all over the place.
Pissed me off.
A helicopter gunship is like opening fire on them.
I gotta go with you on this one, Sean. I like Carnage, but what they had for Carnage was just like
he was very watered down.
He was watered down, but also all the tendrils.
It felt like it was just an extension of Venom, like they did in the movie, but.
Just wait for it.
Too many tendrils.
Mm-hmm. And then
as the cop at the time really killed it for me too.
The way they had him, honestly, was more like Slag, but Slag never really. Slag has a head and arms, but the rest of him is gooey-like, and he just forms tendrils to move himself around and fight with.
Anyway,
that looks more like what they did with Carnage.
Yeah, and Shriek takes out the gunship that's firing on them by unleashing her little banshee scream, which, of course,
Carnage
symbiotes don't like loud noises.
Carnage, like, if she does that again, I'm
I will eat her if she does that again.
And Cletus is like,
he's sensitive to sound.
Yeah.
That's all he says. He's like, okay, well, I'm going to go with this for now because he could kill us at any moment.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. And Cletus is crazy, but not that crazy.
He's smart. I will give him that. He knows how to manipulate to get what he wants. All he really wants is he wants his girl.
And he wants to marry his girl.
And he wants payback for Eddie slighting him.
Yep. And
the slight is really like weird because the slight is just he wasn't his friend.
Yeah.
Crazy people.
And now with her, breaking out and everything, the cops haul in Eddie because they're still convinced he knows more than he's letting on. Which, yes, he does. But he's certain that if he tells them, well, here I had this alien living inside me, and
well, he said even earlier that they're going to go to Area 51. They're going to kill both of us.
Yeah. So that's why he's not exactly forthcoming with the full truth, and he finally tells Mulligan, I'll tell you what you want to know, but I need to make my phone call first. And he calls up Anne.
Wasn't the thing that Eddie couldn't be away from Venom in the first movie because he had cancer or something, or he was being given cancer by.
Yeah, I was wondering about that as well. There was a whole thing.
No. I haven't seen Venom.
The cancer thing is from the comic books, not from the.
No, I remember what it is.
He was dying from something.
It was because Venom, I think, was feeding off of his body because Venom wasn't being fed.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's what it was. And since he was feeding him with chocolate and chicken breast,
they're synchronized.
His body wasn't on the verge of breaking down like it was.
They merged perfect.
That's why everybody else kept dying when they were.
Well, I knew that part. I thought for whatever reason I kept thinking Eddie had something that's why Venom and Eddie had to be together because Venom needed Eddie and Eddie needed Venom.
So in comic book wise, yes. In this movie universe,
not quite. It's just one-sided.
It's more the fact of what
it's one-sided relationship.
It's more the fact it's like
almost like a parasite.
Like getting a kidney, you had to be but no, it's like you had to have a kidney. Remember with kidney transplants, you have to have the same blood type. Your body has to accept it. That's why, because every time they kept throwing Venom or any other symbiote on someone, the body was rejecting it, and it was being eaten away faster by the symbiote. Eddie wouldn't die so fast because
they're a match.
Yes,
they are perfect,
and that's why the other hosts that that Venom kept taking in the movie during the breakup kept like collapsing and falling apart.
I'm trying to figure out if Venom knew or held back and didn't kill them, or he's just like, eh.
I don't know. But
I would hope that he would.
To be honest, Venom is not truly murderous. Venom kills to feed. That's his thing.
To survive.
He's not out just to kill. Which is actually what the symbiotes were there to do, is to kill, take over, make room for the rest to come, and use this planet as their feeding ground. He wasn't about that. Mm-hmm. He wanted, once he got here and saw what the world was like, he's like, hey,
I like
this is a fun place.
And he also is, by this point, aware, I can't just go around killing people because that's going to draw attention, and then they'll take me away to Area 51.
So, comes to one of my favorite parts of the movie, since he got Anne, said, hey, go look for him, he might be going to Mrs. Chen's to get the chocolate. The actress for Mrs. Chen was probably the absolute best I have seen a side character in any movie.
Peggy Lou, who played Mrs. Chen. Mrs. Chen was great.
The whole when Anne was playing to Venom and the facial expressions were on point.
We need to sort of back up a little bit because
just a tiny bit.
Yeah, Venom at the rave was just a fun little thing because we cut back to him in the rave. What? Yeah, the Peanut Gallery commented that she wants Rave Venom as a new skin in Fortnite.
Yeah, that would be kind of nice.
But when we cut back to the rave, he's got like little glow sticks and stuff all over him. Like little.
He's got a bunch of the hoops. He has them over his arms and across his chest.
Once he does his mic drop and he walks away, you actually get a little taste of Venom is actually missing Eddie.
He's like, I'm having fun, but
I love how he got up on. He's like, I'm out of the Eddie closet.
Yeah,
I'm like, everyone's like, okay, go you.
And he crashes this rapper's performance and take the microphone. It's just like, we need to be better about aliens.
And everyone's like, yeah. They're thinking he's
that was better last season.
About immigrants.
And he's talking about himself and his. Well, I mean, when you think about it, it just fits so perfectly well. But I do love the fact that it shows that yes, Venom really does care about Eddie.
Yep.
And he goes to the only source that he knows, other than Eddie, that he can trust to get food.
Which is Mrs. Chen. So this, like, the host that he's currently wearing, like...
Did he have some Red Bull?
Collapses into Mrs. Chen's, and she goes over and realizes this is Venom. Yeah, and she's just sort of like cradles the host for a second.
Cradles and hugs him.
And then later, when Anne comes... With Dan, her new fiance, comes around, and she's like asking, if she's seen Venom, and Mrs. Chen is just sort of standing back and
she's doing those snapbacks, and then all of a sudden,
and then when like Dan speaks up, and she looks at him and just goes pussy,
and that's she's like,
okay,
Venom,
come out here.
I want to talk to you.
that was the most perfect transition from Mrs. Chen to Venom, and I'm like. Now that's a cool transition.
Yeah,
the eyes.
It's literally just the eyes and the mouth and the teeth. Yeah.
I mean, that was a beautiful transition.
And then Anne is like sort of flirting with
and the facial responses. I cannot get enough.
It was one of the best moments in the movie.
Well, apparently, she's also done some work with Andy Serkis on a couple of other films with the motion capture. So I mean. Hers compared to when Anne is doing hers is like night and day.
Oh yeah.
I mean, serious night and day. Because when it comes to Anne and her transitions with Venom, it's like hard and fast.
Yeah.
Hers was just pure natural transition using all. I mean, you had emotion.
Yeah, him like preening as she's flirting with him. It was just,
he's like, I'm right here.
Yeah, and poor Dan is just like, I'm standing right here.
All the I give Dan a lot of credit.
Yes,
throughout this movie and the last movie, he's put up with so much crap, and hasn't really fought back at all, and just goes. All right, sure, I'll still marry her.
I love her. This is the
and he came to the rescue later.
Yeah, he was.
He's clutch. A keeper. He's a keeper.
Well, because Anne was kidnapped too.
Yeah,
so.
Right. And I mean, he loves her. But I mean,
he remembered fire.
Went into a highly dangerous spot and was clutch about it. I gotta give him credit. He paid attention, and here he was.
But anyway, after the Mrs. Chen thing, we cut back to the police station. Anne shows up to talk to Eddie, and of course...
I like how Eddie goes, you didn't find him, did you? Seconds later, boom, straight through the wall.
Yeah. And we get She-Venom sort of carrying Eddie off, bridal style. They get, back to her car, and Anne makes, shifts back into Anne, and then she's like, he wants you to apologize.
Oh, no, Venom shifted back because he didn't want to talk to him.
Yeah, that's right. I
don't want to talk to you.
And so... Anne basically has to sort of translate for him.
The speaker.
Be the proxy for Venom as Eddie is apologizing, and he's like... and
not sincere enough.
And then finally, it's just like...
more sincere.
They brings him in for a hug. It's like, now kiss it. Now kiss her. Now kiss her. Kiss her. It's like, no. They quickly, separate. But... He then Eddie.
Don't you love seeing your future wife in the arms of her ex?
Yeah, and
with
Eddie,
an alien.
Well, Eddie tells them both to pack and get out of town because he doesn't want them to.
Shit's about to get real.
Shit's about to get real, especially because Cletus and Shriek are planning a wedding with 3 guests.
A guest for each person.
Mm-hmm.
Or each.
The cop that took her eye, Eddie Brock. and Venom.
The one that put him to death row, even though he did that on his own. I guess they kept him from going to death because they wanted to try to get the information out of where the bodies for closure were.
Yeah, they want closure. They were set on getting closure, finding all the bodies. Well,
they found a bunch of bodies.
And Carnage wanted to eat Venom so he could be like, I'm more powerful. Screw this. There can be only one.
They knew about 40 of his victims, but he always alluded to there's way more.
And then they found way more.
Right.
So they all go their separate ways to collect Cletus and I remember how it goes now. Mulligan heads back to Eddie's apartment to look for him after Eddie escapes from police custody. And when he arrives at the apartment, who's waiting outside? It's Cletus. And when Mulligan steps out and draws his gun
and unloads it.
Carnage shows. Then comes out and they.
Which brought my brain into scream mode.
Go ahead.
All right, we have a major killer in front of me. Let me get out of my car, grab my service weapon, close the door behind me, and then point my gun at you.
I think he was in just straight panic mode. And,
closing
he hasn't
the door.
Seen Carnage before either.
Well, no, I'm just saying this is a known killer,
an escaped serial killer
who is known to be.
Well, he was empty-handed. He's like, okay, I've got this guy without any weapons.
Even so, the fact that he didn't call for backup before getting out of the car.
He wasn't even in a cop car, though. He's a detective.
He's a detective, so he can use his own.
Okay.
Use their own.
He might not have any.
The door got me, though.
The thing about it is,
you have a cell phone?
He sees him and he's like, I got him.
It's just an instinctual thing where it's like, I gotta go do this.
Yeah, I got him dead right.
If I don't do this, he can get away.
He doesn't see a weapon on him. So he's like, yeah, I got him cold. I'm getting out. All right, freeze. I got you. And then...
Suddenly.
Oops.
One thing I do give this movie is the graphics when Carnage, when they transform. How Carnage does transform.
Sort of much...
Kind of just...
Like he's ripping out of him.
Transformation.
As opposed to Venom, where it's literally like
a smooth
like a
merger.
That was like a suited way, the way Venom goes.
Mm-hmm.
Mask.
And while this is happening outside, Shriek breaks into Eddie's apartment and is looking for any sort of clue to try to find him. And he finds a picture of Anne. Sorry, what were you saying, Zeke?
Yeah, he was saying Mask and Cake. I was using my reference from the first movie.
Mine was from this one.
I know.
But and she finds the picture of Anne, and it's a picture outside her apartment.
Yeah, because people always do that.
With the address attached to it.
Well, I mean, we are talking about a guy who kept going by her place, just randomly walking by like a stalker.
Yeah, but this was not one that was taken in stalker mode because she had actually signed it
and smiled.
And was smiling and posing for it.
So I mean, it's an old picture from when they were actually together. But I mean, again, we are talking about Eddie Brock, and this Eddie Brock is a loser.
Yep.
Which is funny because the Eddie Brock from the comic books was not a loser. He was pissed.
Yeah. But
pissed.
He also had more motivations, too.
Yeah. He wanted fucking revenge.
But so
Parker.
So then...
Parker cost it... But the difference between the two, the Eddie Brock of comic book was absolutely obsessed with getting revenge on Parker for ruining his career and having him go to prison for all the stupid lies he told in his publications.
It depends which version you go off of, because
Venom, of course, is pissed off that Parker rejected him. So they shared
he's
a
a
natural
star-crossed lover.
Yep.
They shared a natural love for their hatred of Parker. Although Venom is more of
I think that's what kind of started the symbiosis.
Yeah, that's what solidified their union.
This one, they're both losers.
Zeke has something to say.
They're both losers in this.
But if you're going off of the Lethal Protector, didn't they move away and call a truce? They called a truce with Spider-Man.
Yeah, after Maximum Carnage, they realized, hey,
they needed to work
I could
together.
be a hero. warped hero, but I can be a hero.
Well, they also need to work together to take out the other ones.
Yeah. He doesn't like the way how Spider-Man works because Spider-Man is trying to, be Spider-Man. Stop the bad guy, save everyone. Whereas
protect the innocent.
Venom is like, hey, I can save people too, but I'm going to eat this guy because he's doing wrong.
Yep.
And that makes
and there's a certain phrase that we're probably going to see more commonly in any future Venom Lethal Protector moments, but we'll get to that line.
Yeah,
we'll get to that line later.
So they each do the kidnap. She finds out where they live.
They get all the pieces that they need in order to make everything right.
And Shriek gives poor Dan like a cocktail napkin with the invitation to the wedding and the address, and basically says to give this to
Eddie, because we know I've got who he loves.
Mm-hmm. And so he gets a call from Dan, and by this point the police are looking for Eddie Brock also.
Everybody.
But he gets the call from Dan about where they are. They get there. They have a captive priest. They have Mulligan sort of tied up in a Carnage tendril, and they have Anne tied up in a casket.
The thing about it is, each one got somebody for the other.
Mm-hmm.
He got Cassidy. He got Mulligan for her,
and she got
Anne, so that
which would draw Eddie
with
in
Venom.
Mm-hmm.
So everyone was going to be there. Everyone was going to be happy.
And Venom shows up. He's ready to throw down, and then
Cletus,
and then Carnage comes out, and he goes, "Oh shit, that's a red one."
Good trail line.
He remembers what happened last time he fought a red one. Also, he remembers what happens when he's on his home planet.
When did he last fight a red one in this continuity? Because Riot was a silver.
I thought Riot was red.
Silver.
He had traces of red in him,
but he was not
only from light. But on the home planet, you don't fuck with red ones because red ones mean death.
Mm-hmm. And so Venom goes back inside Eddie, and Eddie's like, "What are you doing? You leaving me kind of exposed here." And that's when it's just like, "I will let you eat anyone, everyone
except him."
Except he points at the priest, and it's like, "Oh yeah!" And he hulks out again. It's like, "Time to die." That's the spirit. No, us. We are going to die.
I loved that line.
Yeah.
Yeah. Venom really did not believe he could beat a red symbiote because the history of red symbiotes are the enforcers of their whole planet.
Yeah.
If a red symbiote is coming for you, you're fucked.
Yeah.
Because they're going to get you no matter what.
And, then Shriek unleashes her Shriek again on Venom, and Carnage, of course, who was, right next to her, smacks her.
Oh.
And it's just, because, he warned, if she opens her mouth again. And, then we start having the fight, and Anne is still in the little casket, and Carnage sort of pulls the lid shut. Not that she could really do anything because she was tied up and gagged, but
but he eventually pulls her out and is like, it's a snack time, and out of nowhere comes
Dan. Pours kerosene on him and with a blowtorch.
And I'm like, wow, Dan is showing his skill.
Dan is not as big of a pussy as Venom thinks.
That's why he gave him a little bit afterwards, just a little bit of props.
Yep. And Mulligan, who wasn't tied up, starts hurrying off, gets into a little construction elevator to try to get out of there, and Shriek goes chasing after him.
Shriek is after his ass.
She starts beating his ass on the roof.
Now, that's where, when she's beating his ass, that's where I'm like, wait a minute, you're exceptionally stronger than you should be. She's manhandling him, and she's literally hanging him.
Mutant.
You could go with that.
But
what I'm going to go with is Mulligan was clearly not at 100%.
Oh no.
You know, because he'd been slapped around by Carnage,
right?
And because he was limping as he got onto the elevator.
But I mean, you look at the size of him, and you look at her. She's literally.
He's not exactly a tall man.
Him right up, like it's easy. She had a little bit too much strength, and I'm like, I think she may have already gotten a piece of
Carnage,
but
it did not know.
They didn't show it. It didn't happen.
And you always go with the same logic we have of Jedi's breathing in space.
Rule of cool.
Anime logic, but this one's movie logic.
Superhero logic.
Yeah.
And then she what? Didn't she kick him?
Yeah.
To knock him over onto the one. Did he land on a piece of pipe? But was there a straight piece into him?
Well,
but his back just like went straight over like the like.
Yeah, it looked like he.
It just kind of like knocked him out.
Yeah.
Knockout blow.
You fall from, even a short distance onto a metal strut that goes all the way up your back. That's gonna knock you out.
Knock the wind out of you. At least.
Yeah. And he's like a non-factor for the rest of that scene, as Venom and Carnage are going at it, and Carnage is still sort of keeps kicking his ass until like the church bell starts tolling midnight.
I was smiling about because I feel like that's a throwback to the original Venom.
The original fight with Venom,
even in the animated series, in the third movie.
Mm-hmm. Yep. All of that, and
I mean, I think it's because it happened in comics too. It didn't.
Yeah, in the comic books,
that's how Spider-Man got him off.
The original fight with Venom and Spider-Man ended in a church with a church bell. The original fight.
Bless you.
The original fight with Spider-Man, Carnage, and Venom ends with a church bell in a church tower. Fucking everything.
Yeah, and so then it becomes briefly sort of mano-a-mano between Eddie Brock and Cletus Kasady.
Yes, and between the bell chimes.
And you realize just how much of a pussy
Eddie Brock
really is in this.
He's not a fighter.
And Cletus and Carnage,
not a fighter.
Carnage manages to mute the bell by ripping the hammer out of the bell, but then Venom grabs it away from him and starts trying to choke him with it. As they're just still going at it. And
they're stabbing each other, and it doesn't really affect them because they heal.
Yeah.
Yeah, they heal so fast.
But then, at one point, Carnage gets Venom, pinned to a pillar in the church, grabs the priest, and just goes, "Time for an upgrade."
That was beforehand.
Time for a level up.
Yeah, time, or something like that.
Power up.
Power up, that's what it is. It, bites his head off, and then...
too bad there's no Venom 2 video game. Based
I
off
need a
the
young priest and an old priest. Oh!
We lost one of them.
Yeah.
Which one was he, an old priest or a young priest?
But it's
there was a combination of both. He was middle-aged.
Yeah, but the fight sort of keeps going on, and...
Carnage keeps pinning Venom.
He pinned him with he got the church started to break down because he got pissed off.
I think that's because Shriek unleashed another scream or something.
No, that was towards the end.
What happens is Carnage pins Venom to a post. He grabs hold of Anne and he starts climbing.
He's like, "You're going to watch her die."
A lot of the
and Venom has to go after.
But he's pinned down by rubble that keeps falling down.
I think he's pinned down by his emotions.
Emotional damage takes longer to heal.
Because he was just laying there, he's like, "We're not going to win. We can't win." So his emotions were worse than the rubble and debris that was on him.
But
he was just too much of a sad sap at the time.
As Carnage is climbing up with Anne in one tendril, he then grabs Shriek in another because she's just this is going too far because the church is starting to fall apart.
Oh, she said it's going too far because he grabbed Anne. Anne had nothing to do with the whole thing. She said, "I'm just using her as bait."
And Carnage was basically...
She had no part of it.
Carnage was just basically, fuck all of you, including Cletus. Mm-hmm. And she's trying to protect her love.
And so he's done it.
Go ahead.
My number one fault with this movie. Carnage is a symbiote that connected on point since the bonding of them. They became I, not we. In this one, the weakness to Carnage is the fact they have not bonded properly all the way through. That's why they can survive the fight.
And that's what gets Venom back into the fight.
Well, I mean, even in the
they're not symbiotic.
Yeah,
Carnage was all about I, and he was not talking Cletus at all. He was
they said we a couple times.
Yeah,
it really bothered me.
Only to get Cletus on board, but Carnage was always never about we. It's me and me alone.
Mm-hmm. It's me and you're there sometimes.
You're just here for the fun of it, but
here's so I can survive.
Shit.
Yep, basically.
And they kept that going because he was like, yeah, you help me, I'll help you. All he was doing was making sure that he could get to Venom. He didn't give a shit about anybody else, and he showed it all the way through.
Yep. But yeah, the fact that Cletus and Carnage hadn't properly fully bonded is what allowed Eddie to convince Venom that we can still win because they're not united.
Yeah, their motives were only aligned to get certain people there, and once that happened, he's like,
what they wanted. So Cletus got what he wanted.
Yep.
But what he wanted was also pissing Carnage off, and Carnage is just like, yeah, you know what? Bitch gonna die because I'm tired of her mouth.
Yeah,
literally.
And so they have another fight on top of the church. It's starting with Venom impaling like a piece of rebar into Carnage's head, which Carnage, of course, no sells because healing factor.
I mean, it distracted him enough.
Yeah. With the storm front that had been moving in during the scene right before that Venom showed up at the church. When Eddie is up on top of the signal tower hill or whatever it is. You could see like lightning flashes in the distance, and I'm like, are they going to have it be like he's going to stab that thing into Carnage, and then a lightning bolt's going to strike him or something? How are we? How are you going to do this?
And that's how we introduced Storm.
But
Aurora was there just watching the whole thing on vacation. She's like, well, that looks neat.
But Carnage sort of no-sells it, starts beating Venom down again. He's like chokes out Shriek enough to knock her out. Not kill her, but knock her out. And Venom manages to get Anne free and basically endures Carnage whooping his ass so he can
stabbing the shit out.
So he can lower her down safely through the church tower for Dan to catch her and then get out of there. And then they start like slamming the bell around, or the bell starts getting hit by debris getting chucked around, and
the whole top just goes.
He first says like, well, we can't do anything with them unless it's fire, and Venom goes or sound as she's regaining consciousness.
As Shriek is standing up,
and I thought he was just gonna be like,
go for it.
Just take her and just put her in front of him. Like
it's just like, this is going to suck.
I thought that he was going to bond with her.
He just goes, nope.
Yeet!
Yeah, he basically yeets her back, into the tower. He shoulder
tackles her straight in
and
there. Knowing it's going to tear Carnage and Cletus apart because he wants to save her. Carnage is having none of it.
And Shriek, as she's in midair, just goes, yeah, does her like her shriek again.
And just annihilates the entire church practically.
Yep,
driving both symbiotes apart from their hosts.
And Eddie starts falling into the tower,
as
does Cletus.
This is where I got the idea that she has the symbiote. She hits ground,
and she's still alive. And
she's alive, and she's alive and kicking and ready to. She's ready to cock back and unload again. And then the church.
Moving. And the church bell just goes clank on top of her.
But the way it lands so she's under it. It doesn't land and crush her.
And we also don't hear that she releases it, because if she did release, she would definitely kill herself with the sound.
I don't know.
I got the impression that Shriek herself is immune to her own.
Yeah, she's immune to her own hit.
Audibly. But bodies can only take so much.
This is true.
But then again, at that same time, I'm still like, she has a symbiote. She should have died on the impact. Instead, she's like oh fuck, this is coming at me. Hold up.
Well, that's like, also another movie moment we could hand it up.
I think she healed as soon as she hit the ground, and that's when the bell comes, and she's trapped underneath it.
But here's the thing: if she had a symbiote, the symbiote wouldn't probably be able to withstand her own shrieks.
Right. If it bonded with her properly.
If it bonded with her. I don't think it bonded with her until she hit ground.
Maybe.
Because, again, she was
at any
fully
rate
alive and
we could be discussing something that in Venom 3 she's
I'm pretty sure she's coming back. And
but, yeah.
Maybe not, because I have a feeling of that one.
But Cletus sort of falls down straight, just slam. Eddie, as he's falling...
that was a cool move.
Yeah. Because Dan and Ann are basically like clinging to the sides of the... And
Venom jumps, hits the scaffolding, goes down to Dan, seeps through Dan into...
Shoots out Ann's...
Grabs hold and manages to get hold of
Eddie
and transforms.
She does like this. She like curves her arm upward towards him so he has enough momentum to shoot himself off of her into Eddie before he hits.
Yep. And
transforming him instantly.
And Cletus is lying there just sort of like broken and everything as the Carnage symbiote is crawling back over to him. And then Venom basically just grabs it and just starts eating it.
Eats him right back.
And then just goes, he did not taste good. and then he picks up Cletus.
And of course, Eddie is talking to him like,
yeah, and we literally...
I love the peel away where it's just like half and half.
Yeah.
And he's like, what did you want? I wanted you to be my friend.
He's like, I told you, but you didn't listen.
Yeah, which is true.
Yeah.
He literally did tell him, I just want you to be my friend. That's it.
And then,
tell my story, let everyone know, I'll give you everything.
He's also told him he left out parts where I was abused by Daddy, Mommy, and Grammy.
Yep.
Yeah, which is true. He didn't tell the whole story. He told him, I'll just tell my story.
Well, they didn't tell us the whole story either until that point.
Yeah.
This is true.
And
I think that was their way of trying to do a sympathetic villain.
He's sitting there like...
That's bad journalism!
and he's like, well, and then all of a sudden, best part of the whole story.
No. The reason that it comes to that point is because then Cletus is just sort of like, trying to basically compare himself to Eddie again, but it's just like, I'm a killer, I was a killer without the monster, sort of thing, and he pisses off Venom, who just goes 1, 2, 3. Fuck this guy! And bites his head off.
Which I promptly yell, holy shit! In the theater.
I'm sure those people in front of us really enjoyed it.
Oh, I'm pretty sure those people hated me. For once, I was that douchebag. I would apologize if you ever hear about us, guys, and you and us, but for God's sakes, when they do a move like that, I mean, everybody knows Carnage does not die. He never dies. He always comes back some way, even with the healing factor, stuff like that. When you just up and bite his head off with no way, no.
Well, that's the other thing about it. If he split once, he can split again.
True.
Mm-hmm.
We also get another scene around this point.
Go for it.
Where Mulligan opens his eyes, and his eyes are glowing blue.
And he just goes, monsters.
Yep.
That's Toxin.
That's Toxin. I always forget about Toxin, but thank you for reminding me.
So, yeah, but we're just seeing that happening and with the eyes glowing, and we're just like, wait, what?
Everybody in our theater was pretty packed. Everyone saw that and was like, oh, is this the end scene? Everyone goes, what? Everyone universally was confused as hell. I looked up the cop's name, and it says Toxin. I'm like, oh, that's because that's offspring of Venom and Carnage.
Yeah.
Well, and then we get, Ann and Eddie and Dan, they all get out of the church. Eddie wishes them the best of luck. And, even Venom is just, more complimentary towards Dan, not calling him a pussy anymore. And
we'll take care of him.
Yes. He is not such a bad guy. And then, but Eddie is aware that we've got to go. We've got to get out of here. And then we cut to a beach.
He actually took
And you know, we see Eddie, you know, in a floral print shirt, sitting on the beach with Venom's toes, you know, curling and making fists with his toes in the sand. And you know, Eddie makes some comments like, "Sorry, we couldn't do the wind in your hair," sort of thing. And Venom's just sort of like, "Well, nobody's perfect." And she's like, when you love someone, you have to accept them with all of their flaws. And then Eddie's just like, wait, did you just say you love me? Oh, you know, but you know, it's like they're like, where are we going to go now? Oh, there are plenty of places that need a lethal protector. And it was a nice sort of end scene, but then we had the stinger.
Well, hold on.
Wait, okay.
Should we practice what Venom told us to do? Because we shouldn't be talking about this. Because Venom said, "Shh."
I said at the beginning of this podcast, spoilers, spoilers, spoilers.
Well, we literally retold the entire movie in about its runtime.
Yeah.
So what's going to have to say? Let's give him another chance, because you know you might want to leave for this one.
Yes. Before we discuss the stinger, massive spoiler warning.
Also, I'd like to say what people were tweeting out about this. Like, hey, I bought a ticket to go see the after credit scene, and they gave me a free movie to Venom. There Will Be Carnage in front of it.
Yeah.
So nice of them to do.
Yeah, but yeah, the stinger scene still like at the beach, wherever. Yeah, but
no, they weren't at the beach. It was nighttime, and it looked like it was in an apartment.
Mm-hmm. I got the impression that was like whatever room that they had gotten at the beach, wherever they were.
Because it looked like a different room after the fact.
Well, after the fact is because of what happened. But I took that as like another sort of reality shift, making it this is the variant of wherever that was.
I didn't think it was a beach unless it's a Mexican beach, because they were doing Mexican TV soap opera.
Yeah.
Or Mexican beach.
Anyway. But you know they're watching some like Mexican soap opera, and
they both are agreeing on how awesome it is.
It's a great scene.
It's messed up that he kept secrets from him.
Yeah,
you keep secrets from me? Yeah.
Well, everybody has secrets in their past.
Was it 800 million years?
800 million light years, or something like that, away. You know, with all the hive knowledge from across all of reality.
Your brain.
Yeah, and it's just I will give you a brief.
Also, of multiverses.
That's
he
right.
mentions,
and you know, then Venom's just like, I will give you a little taste of, a little morsel.
Oh, here he goes. 80 billion light years of hive knowledge across universes would explode your tiny little brain.
That's right. And so then he's just so like, I'm going to, you know, I will give you a little morsel, a little glimpse. And I'm just like, ooh, what are we going to see? And then it's like, there's like
this light outside the fucking window.
No. It was like the TV screen, like the light from the TV screen started distorting. I'm like,
you saw outside, it was just this big orb too.
Well, yeah, and I'm just like, okay, so what is he trying to show him here? And then, like, Eddie's just like, is this part of it? And Venom's just like, I don't know what's going on.
It became daytime, and they were in a different place.
Well, like, the room had changed. There were, to the point, this is more like a resort, because the towels are, like, tied into, like, decorative animals.
I think they were swans, but it also looked like Venom's tongue, too.
Yeah.
So it was kind of funny.
And
like, what the hell is that?
And then
I think it's a towel.
And they're just like, what just happened? And even I'm just like, Wait.
What I loved about this, when they first showed a glimpse of the screen when I was watching
the TV screen.
First time, I'm like...
Yeah, that was me too.
Just a mouth agape, just in awe that it is J. Jonah Jameson on that screen.
J.K. Simmons as J. Jonah Jameson from the stinger of Spider-Man 2.
But there's also a difference in that scene.
Is there?
Yes.
Go ahead.
When they're saying Spider-Man is Peter Parker, they showed Peter Parker in his like school getup, his like civilian clothes. No, in this movie they showed him in the spider suit.
Okay, but
in the other one, this could be a later time where they're talking about it again. That they actually have a picture because that was him in his black suit that wasn't a part of the old movie.
Anyway. But yeah, it's just like the room changed, and then like the TV, which had been Mexican soap opera, is now the clip from dailybugle.net, you know, with Infowars Jonah Jameson.
Which makes me wonder if they're at some beach maybe near Mexico Why would they be getting stuff for New York? Unless this is like world-breaking headlines.
I mean...
Well, I think it might be world-breaking headlines.
Because Mysterio in Spider-Man 2 would become like a global figure.
But they were also in
Europe.
London.
Yeah. So that's a little confusing. That's why I said this kind of breaks timelines.
When it reveals, they're back in New York at that time, swinging through New York.
Yeah. But a lot of things kind of got broken.
I'm under the impression the timeline is now in full shatter mode and everything's merging.
Or everything has fully merged.
Between the ending of WandaVision and the ending of Loki, everything's broken.
With this, everyone online is saying, "Oh, this is what Doctor Strange did," probably because they got the same preview that before Venom that we did.
Well, I'm still not thinking that it's totally Strange's fault. I think it's Wanda starts, Strange accidentally gets involved in it because she's fucking
That's
shit
true.
up.
It could be that the spell in Spider-Man 3 could be in the process of what she's doing.
Into chaotic mode.
Then we've also got the whole thing of everyone was confused. Why did Venom say, "I like this guy," and lick the screen?
Because he licks the picture of Peter Parker.
Multiversal hive mind. He has the knowledge of Spider-Man 3's Venom.
Or all Venoms.
I mean, obviously. But this one in particular. Because we're not going to let people know, oh, well, the comic universe is in reality this. What people are going to go to the movies to see is stuff that they would have known if they watched all the different movies.
Yeah.
Which would have been just that Venom, was it Riot, and Carnage. And whoever else lived and died during that whole point.
I mean, but it was the stinger, just like the moment I glimpsed John Jameson, I was like, oh my.
Now there was a reason why I was on the edge of my seat just looking over at the two of you like, okay, I'm waiting for it. I know it's going to happen, I'm waiting for it.
And I was just like,
and him about jumped out of his damn seat.
Damn right.
I was just like,
poor people in front of him. He was. If there was anybody in front of him, he'd be climbing all over him.
I did lose my shoe. I lost my shoe.
He lost man lost a shoe.
I shot at that shoe so hard, I lost a shoe.
But it was just like, oh my god, the multiverse is burst open.
Well, I like the guy that comes out of the bathroom. I was like, "What are you doing in my room?" He's like so casual. I was like, "What are you doing in my room?" It's like,
and Eddie is just sat on the floor, looks over at him, is just sort of like gives a shrug, like I got nothing.
I don't know.
Again,
that was like the same energy as when Eddie accidentally said, "You suck," and it looked like he was saying it to the one prison guard, and she gives him.
I have nothing but for that.
And he's got, I have nothing. I'm sorry.
I think he said he was stressed or something random about.
I'm having a panic attack.
That's what it was.
They might be having a panic attack.
So
she was about ready to drop his ass on that one.
So I'm just asking you to sign a damn name, man. I don't want to have to jump over this thing.
But
it would be a lot of work for me.
So they left the door open for Venom 3, and it is now part of the MCU.
So
it's
what is this?
The MCU.
So what does this mean for Morbius? Because in the Morbius trailer, we did see Toomes, Adrian Toomes, and we also saw Scorpion.
Yes, which is interesting because.
Yep.
Where's Scorpion coming from?
Scorpion was in
Spider-Man 1. Yes. Matt Gargan, the guy that met that was on the ferry.
And he was also there in the prison when they said, "Oh, do you know any information about? I know you want Spider-Man.
We know you know who Spider-Man is, and we want if you tell us who he is, we get vengeance."
And then Toomes is just like, "I got no idea."
Didn't Gargan have like something wrong? Like he had a sling on or something because he got hurt.
It was like a scar over his eye.
What it was.
Or scar on his face of some kind.
I wonder if they're going to do it.
What? Do what?
No, if they do Sinister 6, I'm going to lose my shit.
Oh, they are doing Sinister 6. This is confirming it.
That's the...
They already have Kraven's Last Hunt.
That's the villain.
As a movie coming out.
Yes, and I can't wait for that shit.
So Kraven's Last Hunt, Doc Ock, Electro, Scorpion...
Green Goblin,
Vulture...
There's your 6. And I can't wait to see Kraven's Last Hunt because that brings Lizard back into the fold.
We also have the thing of Venom's up in it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So would they be teaming? Like, I'm thinking Sinister Six might.
Well,
be Sinister
I want the movie that. I want that now.
No. Here's the thing. There is a Sinister Six fight where Spidey was losing badly. Venom actually did have to go in and help fight because the Sinister Six was at their absolute best. Kraven, alive, hadn't gone psycho yet.
Young Kraven, too.
Yeah, he for some reason he was young. I'm not understanding how that one came about. Well,
Lazarus Pit, probably.
No.
Wrong franchise.
Well, no, his wife.
We don't know that anymore.
Jesus Christ, his wife is fucking ridiculous. So you would have to actually read the first 6 issues of Todd McFarlane's Spider-Man. She's a voodoo priestess. She brings back Lizard, and Lizard is completely psycho.
Why do I keep telling you about shaking him up? Really, you do this.
I did nothing.
And I'm wondering, does she go about bringing him back? Because Kraven's Last Hunt is a beautiful story, but how it ends leads into...
So, with how everything's leading up to No Way Home,
and
how long do you think that movie is going to be? Some people are demanding it being 4 hours.
I can live with that.
How long was the Titanic? I forgot how long that was.
3 hours.
About 3 hours.
I can do it.
That's like the average of most of the cinematic movies lately. Except for Venom, for whatever reason, it's an hour and a half.
I can live with a 3 to 4
because it's not Marvel.
Sony interference.
Sony, yeah.
This is too long for this kind of movie.
No. I see Marvel having to step in there and say, no, this is going to be a masterpiece of joy. We're giving it 3 hours.
The problem is, we can't. We can't.
The last Spider-Man was 2.5 hours.
But the last time, the downfall of Spider-Man has always been the exact same downfall.
Studio interference?
There's that. But it's always been too many
villains.
Yes. This was always wound up to have Ark, Green Goblin, Electro things in there.
Electro.
Mm-hmm. And God knows who else to throw in the pot.
But, I mean, that is actually
possibly
one of the
Mysterio
greatest fights he ever has is Sinister Six.
Chameleon.
Oh, yes.
Please tell me Bruce Campbell's going to be it. Just this Chameleon. Give me Bruce Campbell Chameleon. That's all I've ever wanted. They were going to make him, what was it? Weren't they going to make him Mysterio?
In Spider-Man 3.
In Spider-Man 4, he was going to be Mysterio. I'm like, no, please, just make him Chameleon. He's got the perfect thing. He's just been foiling Peter Parker in every movie.
And
he's been the foil.
And also, he is the brother to our good friend Kraven. So, there's a possibility. Again, Sinister Six...
So the kid that always picks on Peter, that's Flash Thompson, right?
Yes.
Flash.
Okay. Flash.
That's the first thing that Kat asked me. So, you think Flash is going to get the symbiote? I'm like, if they bring Agent Venom out this early, I'm going to blast.
Piss. I do not like Agent Venom at all.
Really?
I don't like him.
He was a good... He's not a Brock, but I mean, he's better than Finn.
I did not like him at all.
Anyway.
Wait, we have the possibility of Black Cat.
There is that, too.
But that's going to be way down the road. Also, this is Tom Holland's last movie with Marvel contractually.
And again, they might make this the big one. They may throw all the stars they can into it.
What's up?
Tom Holland came out with, but you read when we were leaving.
Oh yeah, Tom Holland said he would like 4 times what he was making.
Yeah.
He got $5 million per individual solo Spider movie. He wants 20.
Honestly, I mean, when you think about it, that's actually
he will be the
smart.
Youngest and most inexperienced actor to ever get that amount.
Right, and honestly,
isn't that close to what Robert was making?
No,
more.
Robert Downey.
Robert was making like what, 45 or 50?
Yeah, he was making way more than that. I mean, the lowest paid.
I understand that 5 is kind of low
the lowest
for
paid
a lead actor of these kind of blockbusters, but 20 is kind of high.
I mean, the lowest person on the totem pole
I love Tom Holland.
in terms of money was Mantis, and she was at 17.
Jesus.
You gotta keep in mind, Tom Holland has a good reason for doing this. Because he's been through 2 contract wars.
Well, Mommy and Daddy, Disney and Sony are having a tug of war over him.
I mean...
There's a possibility they might not make another agreement with Marvel and say, we're taking Spider-Man home, we're going to take Venom and our Sinister Six, and we're going to go off and do our own little universe.
Well,
since we're riding on the backs of great directors, writers, and movies.
Here's the thing, though. The contract stated that they only have 2 movies. Marvel gave them an extension if everything works out okay. The extension is 1 movie each time. So, Marvel has the right to say, oh, by the way, Sony, we're done.
Yeah. Sony doesn't really have anything to play with.
Sony has no leg to stand on.
They have the rights to Spider-Man himself.
Actually, again, they only had it for 1 movie, and they got an extension for another movie.
No, the extension was to keep them playing nice with Marvel.
Right, but the end of their contract and rights to it ends on whichever movie Marvel decides at this point now.
So basically, it's like
Marvel
after Spider-Man 3, they could be like...
Marvel's playing nice because things are going nice. Marvel actually, at this point in time, can say, after a long way home, yeah, we're done. Come on home, guys.
After No Way Home, we're taking our toys back.
What Sony is doing is, they're trying to make sure they continue making a blockbuster so that they can still milk some of the pieces of the pie.
My big thing about it is, Sony on their own, what have they done with Spider-Man in the past 10 years?
Where you want to go here? Because, I mean, what was it? Spider-Verse was pretty damn good.
Animated.
Right, animated.
Yep.
That's it.
They have a lot of... I know they threw up a lot of plans after they made that movie, and we've seen and heard nothing about it.
They released a teaser for the second one.
Yeah, they finally did.
One?
Yeah.
Because there was supposed to be a spin-off for Ghost Spider. There was supposed to be a spin-off for Morales. I think there was supposed to be one for the Mecha one from Japan.
Petra Parker, yeah. Or whatever.
This whole thing's confusing as hell. Because Disney owns the right for live action, but... No, Sony owns the right for live action.
No, they own the rights for Spider-Man all around.
But that's
except for comic.
Cartoon,
it still is determined.
Sony owns the cartoon rights and the
Marvel
game rights.
But Marvel has the rights to pull it if they decide that they're not making enough profit from it. Profit is good. The profit is great,
and that's why they're willing to let them still play with it.
And as long as they
because they notice the profit is a lot higher when they're working with Marvel than when they're playing alone.
Right. And they're
the last two Spider-Man movies.
They're going to do whatever it takes to make sure that it continues to churn out quality.
I don't dislike Andrew Garfield from his other movies, but the direction of the second movie was just bad.
Yeah,
the CG and the monster in the first movie for me was bad. I've watched them both recently, and the second one is just fell off the cliff so hard compared to the first one. I don't know if it's Sony interference. I don't know if it's just bad writing.
I thought it was bad writing. But also, they were trying to make... The second one with Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man, hands down, was supposed to be Ultimate Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And...
Yeah.
I like Andrew Garfield. He's a good Spider-Man.
He's a good
but actor. A bad Peter Parker.
Yes. Right. He could not.
Toby was a great Parker, but not a great Spider-Man.
Tom Holland is great at both.
It's the best of both worlds.
He nails
hands
it down.
Both sides. The nerdy awkwardness as Peter Parker, but the cockiness when he's Spider-Man, but also staying a little bit nerdy.
Mm-hmm. Right. He's the emergence of the young mainline Spider-Man and Ultimate Spider-Man the way they wanted.
We didn't have to hear an origin story for them either.
Yeah.
Right, because they're like, you know what,
30th time.
We're done.
And then in the Andrew Garfield one, the one that it gave me too much movie was when they were just going into his dad and his mom's situation with Oscorp. It would drug the movie down.
I agree.
Right. I mean, I could have.
We didn't need a full scene of them flying away in the second movie and having their little thing. I was like, great, this would be awesome if it was a Bond movie.
Yeah.
Gotta upload this. Gotta upload link. Oh, I gotta fight before the plane crash. shoot the guy. Oh, well, we're dead. Upload, upload successful. How does that even work? That's not how it works.
I don't know, but yeah, but Venom, we all I think enjoyed it.
I enjoyed Venom.
There were flaws, but I'm
going to say all of the movies that Sony have done solo, very flawed in their own rights and respects.
Yeah,
but I can find ones that I can sit down and watch over and over again.
This is
and
one of them.
Andrew Garfield movies were not. Venom, I could still get some more enjoyment watching it over again because I have.
Mm-hmm.
This is the second time I've seen Venom 2 already in 2 days. The Tom Holland Spider-Man, I have seen Far From Home 5 times now.
I own it, and
I love that movie. Every bit of it keeps me entertained, still.
Yeah. It is probably literally my... Even with Spider-Man, going back to Tobey Maguire.
I watched all those over again, too.
Spider-Man 2, everyone says, is the greatest one. I'm sorry, I'm going to have to push Tom Holland's Spider-Man way ahead of that one. Even though it was good, but Tom Holland's is like perfection to me. And I'm under the impression that, yeah, they're saying, okay, this is his last contract. I know for a fact they're going to renew him.
Well,
because
with me rewatching all of these movies over again, I rewatched 3. I liked it. It wasn't horrible.
No. The thing about
it was fun.
The thing about
it was cheesy and
3,
fun.
I loved Sandman. His story,
that was a well-written story.
Beautiful.
The only reason why
was awesome.
The reason why Venom was even in it to begin with was because Sony wanted Venom. People like Venom. Put Venom in there. I don't really like his origin. The Sam Raimi is like, I don't like his origin. I don't like the character. I really don't want to do it. And I've kind of got my own thing going right now. You put Venom in there. I really don't want to do it. But you need to put him in it. And he's like, okay. Because he already had his thing going with Neo Goblin. And he already had his thing going with Sandman.
And the thing about it is, he wasn't supposed to be Neo Goblin. His storyline was, okay, Green Goblin is gone. It's time for Hobgoblin.
That's what I was looking for.
Studio was like, no.
And
he needs to be Green Goblin. And Sam, he's like,
Neo Goblin,
fucking everything up.
Right when that happened, was literally just after the first issue 0 of Neo Goblin.
Right. And I'm like...
He was a brand new freaking character to the world.
Right. And
it didn't exist yet.
Sam was like, everyone knows Hobgoblin. They love Hobgoblin because he's fucking just doesn't give shit, and he gives Spider-Man hell on earth. He wanted to make it so that, hey, the way I've written my storylines, yes, he wants vengeance. He's down for it. He's going to take his father's stuff and he's going to make it his own. And here comes Hobgoblin. And Hobgoblin is going to give Petey grief. No, studio. We still need Green Goblin.
So wrapping it up.
That's why that's why third one was just a mixture of weird.
But let's go ahead and wrap this up because we're at almost 2 hours.
We've surpassed the movie.
So the question comes up to, when do you think this is going to continue on?
Like Venom 3?
In Spider-Man Homecoming or Venom 3? Or
I think Venom 3 would be the full closure or wrapping up of the stuff we saw here being
I
the
think
toxin.
that's going to be the wrap up of the symbiotes.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to get all of them. We're going to finally get all of them in, and I
think Venom and Eddie are going to be there.
I'm already wrapping it up.
That's not the question, though. The question is, which one do you think is going to continue in? Venom 3 or Homecoming?
Homecoming.
Far From Home.
No
Way Home.
Everything's going to flow to Far From Home, and I think it's going to finish in Venom 3.
Not Tom Holland.
Tom Hardy?
Tom Hardy was seen with a No Way Home hat on. Means he was a cast member of it.
If anything, I predict it's going to be in the Stinger.
I'm going to call it as is. Far From Home, we know it's Sinister Six. Spidey can't handle them. especially with all the shit that's going on with the multiverse, it's going to end up being...
Spider-Man, do you need assistance?
Spidey's going to be calling in assistance. Eat them too? There's assistance, and there's going to be the other versions of Spider-Man.
Are we going to get symbiote Spider-Man and Venom?
We might just get that as well, but we are going to get pretty much the Spider Universe War, which was every single version of Spider-Man there was, with every single version of the Sinister Six.
There's so much possibility with this new movie.
With the multiverse.
But no matter what,
get Miles Morales out of this.
Yes, we will see Miles.
Because as Prowler
I
was
want him to be animated.
Prowler was in the first Spider-Man movie.
Right. I'm just calling it. We're going to have Sinister Six, Spidey, Venom, Miles. Might even have Prowler in there.
This is going to get nuts.
It is.
It's going to be...
I cannot wait for December.
It's going to be...
This is a horrible time to start doing binges.
I honestly believe it'll be 6-on-6, and it's going to be a fucking beautiful slugfest.
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't that wine?
Can we just make this a Disney
I'm the Rhino!
The bad wine that shows up like... No.
Well, can't we just make this a Disney Plus series?
Yeah, right?
This is too much to put into a movie.
Which is why I wouldn't mind if it did a natural comic book thing. It starts in Far From Home, it finishes in Venom 3.
Oh, what's Sam?
We're gonna get the opening title screen. It's gonna say Spider-Man: No Way Home, Part 1.
Or Venom.
Or like
Venom 3, No Way Home, Part 2.
There will be Venom.
More likely, it's going to be like at the end of the credits or like at the end of the sting or whatever. It's like Spider-Man will return in
Venom 3.
Oh god, they're going to do what they did in Venom 1. No!
That shit will be hot. I can live with that. And it will be a happy thing.
Well, I mean, they've already done that on like in Falcon and Winter Soldier. It's just like Sam Wilson and Bucky will return in Captain America and the Winter Soldier.
Oh my god! But
so,
yes.
I mean, yeah, it was a lot of good fun. The stinger has our heads buzzing, but
the whole internet buzzing.
Oh yeah,
it's ridiculous.
But, that I think is going to conclude this edition of the Bingecast. So. For Sam, Zeke, and Rode, I am Jay, and we will see you next time. Thanks for listening to the Bored to Death Bingecast. Be sure to check out our library of past podcasts via CKCC Radio or via our YouTube channel, and give us a like and subscribe. We'll see you after our next binge.